To make this video practical, I actually want to show you a real life example, a campaign I'm about to run soon for my agency, and that is reaching out to podcast agencies and podcast networks who want more advertisers. So basically, what I would do here is tell them, hey, we can help you get meetings with brands who want to spend for ad spots. Basically, what these guys do is they come to your company and they say, hey, we can place a 30-second ad about your company in podcasts that are relevant. So when people listen to your ad over and over and over again, your company becomes top of mind, and then they will come to your company to use your services. So this is what they do basically. I know it's a bit complex. This is why I don't want to get into detail. But basically, I can build this list of people using a tool like Apollo. Apollo is basically one of the popular list building tools, which takes us to the second step, which is actually the lead list building. Now, the list building process here is going to depend a lot on the keywords I'm using, because not everyone who falls under like podcasts is someone I can actually work with. So over here, what I would do is basically go to the industry section here and put like marketing and advertising, online media and media production, because I cannot actually type podcast. Like if I type podcast agencies, for example, it won't show up because it's not an industry. So you have to use keywords very, very well. This is a skill. You need to like mention, for example, podcast agency, audio advertising, audio ads, podcast media buying, podcast partnerships. Honestly, if you want to speed this up, I would just go on ChatGPT and ask it, hey, my company does this, this, and this. I am targeting this, this, and this. Can you give me a comma separated keyword list of keywords I can use in Apollo so I can target my target market? And then it is going to give you a list of keywords you can just copy paste directly. Like you can do this manually, but ChatGPT is pretty good at it if you feed it good words. Now, this is how you do the industry and keywords. Now, in terms of the employees, I want to be targeting people who are like, 10 and above, 5 and above. The TAM is pretty small here, so I'm willing to go a bit lower, 5 and above. In terms of the location, just targeting people in the US, UK, these kind of people. And then here, in terms of the job titles, I want to be targeting decision makers, influencers, Director of Audio Advertising, Podcast Sales Director, VP of Marketing, CEO. This is something you can also ask ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, I am targeting this persona. Can you give me all of the relevant lists of job titles that are relevant for my service? I sell my service. Okay, and then it's going to give you a list of job titles you can start using to build this list. Once you have this list of people, now I can actually export this. So I actually already built it, but if I want to show you what I would do, is I would select all, I would do apply, and then I would go ahead and taking time to load. But basically I would click add to list, and then I can create a new list and then call whatever I want and then update it. And then it's just going to add it to that list. I already have this list saved, so I'm just going to go to it right now. It is this list here with around 2,800 people or whatever. While that is exporting, I want to walk through the email copywriting strategy that I would be using for this. So the way I'd reach out to them is like, hi, first name, as the job title, you probably want to speak to more brands with real ad budgets, not small sponsors that waste time. We can help you book qualified sales meetings with marketing leaders at brands or decision makers who are actively buying podcast sponsorships, or brands looking to advertise through podcasts by sending personalized emails like this one. We worked with a podcast network and landed them 42 meetings with decision makers at advertisers, including billion-dollar companies. Do you want me to share a list of 100 brands we could target for you? Basically, this strategy is like a classic email strategy that has worked wonders for me, because when I send them this list of people, they can like get a sense of kind of the leads I can target for them. They can kind of get a fraction of what I do. So before I hop on the call, there's like some trust already built. And here I'm mentioning a case study that client we actually worked with. And then here I'm talking about the messaging. So like we can help you get more qualified sales meetings. So this is the copywriting strategy. The parts I want to personalize using AI is number one, the job title, because a lot of the times when you are reaching out to people, you might notice that the job title is like, hey, I am the VP of marketing of the LATAM region. Like it's kind of long. So what you want to do is like, hey, as the VP of marketing, you want to remove the extra words that are not relevant when you're reaching out to potential clients. Now, once you have that, then comes the personalization. Now here, I'm actually deciding not to personalize this because the people I'm reaching out to, I know they have similar pain points. They have similar dream states. They have similar pain points. I don't actually need to personalize it because it's already quite segmented. But let's say I was reaching out to a list of marketing agencies, marketing agencies is very broad. So if I'm reaching out to marketing agencies, then I want to use AI to personalize it, because an SEO agency is different from a lead generation agency. A podcast agency is very different from a Facebook ads agency. So this is when I would use AI. So this is thinking about like when should you use AI versus not, or like when you should not use AI. All right, I have uploaded my list into Clay, and now I want to show you the first AI personalization I want to run, and that is for the job title. So what I want to do is take these job titles. I don't like how they look like CEO and chief storyteller, account executive and senior media buyer, strategic consultant, co-founder. Like, I want to take all of this and just make it look like a nice one-line thing that, it kind of looks just like co-founder or like CEO or like CMO. I don't want all this extra stuff. And this is what I was talking about before. So what I do is I go to GPT and tell it, hey, I'll give you a LinkedIn job title that may include extra information like multiple roles, regions, or unnecessary details. Your job is to clean and shorten it into a natural human sounding job title only. So I tell it, look, here's my input and here are your rules. Keep only the first job title if there are multiple. So if it's founder and CEO, only have founder. If it's CMO and VP of growth, only have CMO. If it's COO and operations manager, only have COO, right? So this is what I do to make sure that it is segmented, or it is personalized properly. And then I tell it to remove any extra information like regions, locations, or departments that make it look like a database export. So for example here, if it says director HR MENA region, I tell it, hey, only put HR director, because I don't want this extra stuff. I just want to know what the job title is. I also give it examples of common C-level titles for them to abbreviate. And I also ask yourself, would I say this in an elevator when trying to introduce this person? If I'm trying to introduce someone about my services, would I actually say it in an elevator or not? Because if, let's say you're speaking to a potential client and this is a big client you want to work with, you're not going to give him you're not going to say all the complicated stuff. So I just tell, hey, would I say this in the elevator when introducing this person? If not, simplify. So once that's done, I can actually start running this. But I don't think it's going to run because I have a certain condition in place that I will only run this field if this lead is a qualified lead, right? So now I have a process to make sure that before I'm contacting this person is actually a qualified person to reach out to. So what I do is use Clayagent here to give me a company overview. And from this company overview, then I can determine if the lead is qualified or not. I know it sounds a bit complex, but I'm going to get into it now. So basically, I tell it, hey, can you visit this company's website and give me an exhaustive summary of what the company does in as many paragraphs as possible. Once it does that, it gives me this big company description. And then I can now get into the next GPT, which is actually like qualifying the lead, right? So then I tell it, hey, I want you to analyze this company's description. I want you to score the lead based on the following criteria. 1, very qualified. 2, not qualified. So very black and white. Now here, I just need to change this to, is clearly considered a podcast network or podcast agency. More details below in definition, or ad tech company. Not qualified is clearly not a construction company. And okay, it's not construction because I had this from a previous prompt. But basically, I would take this and have this field. So is not a podcast network or podcast agency. And then you want to give it a definition. So I want to walk you through how I would get a proper definition of what your lead actually is. Okay, so here I am on ChatGPT, basically. And what I want to do is figure out a clear definition for my target persona. In this case, I will say, hey, I target podcast ad agencies, podcast networks, and podcast ad platforms. Give me an exhaustive definition as to what these companies are. I want you to encapsulate all of the 3 companies into one clear definition. Once I have this one clear definition, I want your definition to be in a way that it cannot be mistaken for another type of company. I want it to fall under these 3 companies only, or these 3 types of companies only. So give me a very clear definition as to what a podcast ad agency is, or podcast network, and all the stuff I mentioned above. So what it's going to do now is going to start giving me a list, or it's going to give me like a clear definition. A podcast advertising company is a business whose primary function is to connect advertisers with podcast audiences at scale by selling, managing, or enabling a podcast inventory. This includes 3 distinct but related models. Cool. Nice. Now I'll just tell, hey, can you just create a small exclusion definition, like a small exclusion filter, so that when I am using this in Clay.com, it doesn't pick up something by accident. I don't know. I just say something like that because I wanted to basically pick out or like remove companies that are not a good fit. Cool. Put this into one definition that is mega. So here's gonna give me, okay, a podcast excludes, in short. Nice. I just want to make sure this is correct. So pure podcast, yep. Marketing agencies, yep. Nice. Okay, this is what I want. So what I do is literally just copy paste this here, and now I have a very clear definition as to what what a podcast advertising company does. So then what I want to do is try this on 10 rows. So let me see what this looks like. This is gonna be my pre-contact qualification. So as you can see, only 2 of these guys are actually qualified, which shows that when you're segmenting these out, now we have very, very segmented campaign. So over here, so sometimes what I might do is like overpick, like overdo it. So basically what I would do is look at these websites, see if they fall under that definition or not. So for example, Sound Advice Strategies, what do these guys do? Here we share the methods for using podcasts to drive new business. So this is like someone that, yeah, probably someone I don't think I can help. But like, for example, here, Theory of Invention, you're a special agency for tech. Yeah, so this is like a creative agency. So this would be less relevant. So basically, I'm not going to get into the details, but you can always like change the definition of this based on the kind of company you're seeing. So like, for example, if I go to this company and I notice that, hey, they're actually like a podcast ad agency, like they would be someone that is relevant, I would think about, okay, why is it that the AI did not pick this up? Why did the AI not properly pick this as a podcast network? So then what I do is put it in the pre-contact qualification. And then I basically have this formula. I just tell it, hey, if response equals 1 true, then output, yeah, make it a tick box, basically. Now, these are the leads that are qualified. Now, this is basically how I'm using AI to qualify my leads for me before I even reach out to them to begin with. You might be asking, okay, then what do I do with the other leads? Like, what do I do with the ones that are not qualified? Well, for me, in my case, I can still reach out to these people. These guys are creative agencies. These guys are a different kind of agency, which I can work with. What I do is I usually take this, I take the other leads, I put it into another bucket. I call it the unqualified leads bucket. And then I can reach out to those companies because not all of them are actually unqualified, for me at least. For you, you might have something else. For you, you might be like, if I'm targeting real estate developers, for example, you can only work with real estate developers. You cannot work with like real estate brokerages. Then, okay, discard those leads, right? So these are the things you want to think about when you're actually doing your AI qualification stuff. So basically, we have done job title, we have done podcast agency. Now you can take this a step further and do B2B or B2C. However, like with this current definition that I have, it's already kind of doing that. Because if they were a B2C company, it would not pick it up, basically. So this is what I'm doing, basically. And I'm just going to put this as company overview. We did the company overview, podcast agency, and job title. And now I can take all of these leads and upload it to my email sending tool, so which I'm going to show you right now. What I want to do now is go ahead and download this list of people that are relevant for me to actually reach out to. So I want to filter to make sure the qualified status is checked. So once it's checked, I have both of these people, which is like qualified. Now I can download the list of people. Then I can take these people and upload them into this campaign. So I can just click add leads, upload CSV, and then I can just add this list of people. What I then do is just copy paste the copy, which I already did before. So I already had the copy that I wanted to write. So this one, I just copy pasted it here. And then here you can see like, hi, first name as the job title. You probably want to speak to more brands with real ad budgets, not small sponsors that waste time. So here I basically personalize the first name. Hey Glenn, as the founder and CEO, you probably want to speak to more brands with real ad budgets, not small sponsors that waste time. We can help you book qualified sales meetings. We worked with a podcasting network and landed on 42 meetings. Want me to share a list of 100 brands. Notice how human this actually looks like when you do everything right. A lot of the times, you don't even have to heavily personalize the email. Just think about it. How many of these things are actually personalized? The first name and the job title. That's it. But still, this email looks personalized. Why? Because we did the heavy work from the beginning, building the list of people that are actually relevant to reach out to, making sure that we're qualifying the lead using pre-contact qualification techniques, making sure that the person receiving the email is actually the person who should be receiving our emails. So the right job title. So all of the basics, focusing on the basics is more important than focusing on all the gimmicky stuff that people talk about, which is, hey, you should be like using this fancy AI stuff using Clay. A lot of the time, it's just about focusing on the basics. And this is what I'm doing here. And the email looks solid. This is what's helped me also book a ton of meetings. If you want to be booking a ton of meetings as well on your calendar so you can close more deals, there is my website below where you can schedule a one-to-one call with me so we can find a solution that works for you best. But apart from that, I hope this video was valuable and have a fantastic day.